What's going on, Music Heads? It's your man Louie T here with another installment of Music Head University live. We're talking. I had something else teed up for y'all tonight, man. And yesterday I heard the Drizzy Drake verse on the Sexy Red track "You My Everything," and I couldn't help myself. I had to come chop it up with y'all about it. So I pushed that onto what I had planned for y'all on the back burner. We'll talk about this track, this verse, what we feel about it. I got one burning question that I got to ask y'all about this. So we'll get to all of that. I'm going to play it for you, this entire track, so you can hear it. In case you haven't heard it, you haven't missed anything if you didn't hear it. Just letting you know, you didn't miss anything. But in any event, we'll get to all of that and then some tonight. Music Heads, class is in session. Turn me up. So we're talking about Drake tonight, Drizzy Drake. And this is the first time we've heard from him since the Heart Part 6, which was the last diss track, which was really more of a defense track, really. It was more of him defending himself after the barrage and the onslaught and the assault by Kendrick Lamar put on him. And that was his way of somewhat gracefully bowing out of that bout, getting out of harm's way, if you will. So we kind of figured, we talked about this on various live streams, that it felt like it was over after Not Like Us. He needed to respond one more time in his mind. And so he did with the Heart Part 6. He could have kept that, honestly. It did nothing to help him in that whole battle. It really served as a fade to black, if you will. But I mean, I guess in all actuality, if after Not Like Us, if you don't say anything, it looks even worse. So the Heart Part 6 was him just simply responding and saying something rather than saying nothing. So we haven't heard from either combatant since the Heart Part 6. Kendrick needs to say nothing else. He's done enough damage. He's clearly won the war and the battles. And so he needs to say nothing else. But Drake, on the other hand, he's had, posts on social media and things of that nature, still kind of pushing that 20v1 narrative with those posts on social media. But he's really said nothing, had, no new music or, no features or anything until now. Until now. Sexy Red put out a new EP, a new project. In Sexy We Trust. I think it's in Sexy Red We Trust. It might be in Sexy We Trust. One of the two. Not that I care. So on that album, on that project, there's a feature from Drake on a track called You My Everything. Now, this track features a beat from Metro Boomin, who we all know is beefing with Drake. Drake told him, shut the F up, make some drums, nigga. So, I thought that was lame, because what is Metro Boomin gonna do, right? You going after a dude who essentially can't defend himself. He's not a rapper. So yeah, you throwing a bar in there for him is like, it's a bitch move, if you ask me. But again, it's no here nor there. It is what it is, right? I'm not here to pick apart any of that. So Metro Boomin's response to Drake, coming at him that aggressively in push-ups, was to make a beat. And the beat was called BBL Drizzy. And that's what this You My Everything is essentially. And he actually is featured on this song. And so he's rhyming over the BBL. He's rapping and spitting over the BBL Drizzy beat on this feature, which, sent everybody in a tizzy. And classic Drake. I will say this, if nothing else, Drake is very good at trolling the trollers, right? It's hard to get a one up on Drake because I've said this. There are 3 massive trolls in the game. It's hard to get a one up on them because they're just the best at what they do in terms of the troll game. And it's funny because 2 of them were kind of going head to head in all of this, and Rick Ross, Drake, and 50 Cent. It's really hard to really get a one up on them, right? So Drake rhyming over the BBL Drizzy beat felt like him trying to take power back from Metro Boomin. Oh, you gonna put out a beat named after me? Well, guess what? I'm gonna rhyme over this shit. Now, if you're gonna rhyme over it, you best kill it. Like a wise man once said, if you gonna come after the king, you best not miss. If you're gonna rhyme over a beat named after you that's clowning you, you best murder the beat. I mean, massacre this shit. Bury it. So that nobody's even talking about the fact that you rhyming over the beat, but what you just did to it. That's not what happened here. Okay. As a matter of fact, this was one of Drake. What I said was this felt like a hangover effect from the Kendrick beef. Like he was still feeling the ill effects of that ass whooping he took from Kendrick, and the product that was put out was based off of somebody that was still recovering. And instead of him taking the time necessary to recover from that ass whooping he took, he decided to jump back into the swing of things, and he wasn't ready yet. You know, that's what this verse felt like. It was a weak verse, felt like kind of like meh. And then the overall track is trash. I mean, Sexy Red's at the beginning of this thing singing. She sounds horrible. Yikes. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not here to critique Sexy Red. She doesn't need to catch strays in this. This is about Drake. This is about Drizzy. So the intent, while I understand what the intent was by Drake, and I get it, and I commend him for that. I understand the angle he was taking. Didn't necessarily love the entire product here. You know, can't be just putting your name on anything. It's kind of what it felt like. Didn't love it. You know, Drake's verse didn't move me at all. Right, just kind of felt like, hey, I'm doing you a solid. I'm gonna just throw you this, you know, this quick 16 out here for you. And again, if you're gonna jump on a beat that's made to mock you, I suggest you murder the beat. He didn't do that. That's my take on this. So I'm going to play the song for you so you can hear it in its entirety. You can formulate your opinion about it. And then I've got a burning question to ask you after we hear the song. So take a listen. This is from Sexy Red's project, In Sexy We Trust. This is the track, You My Everything. I'm going to give you a little bit of background information because the sample, right, is from one of the albums that I've already had featured on this channel because it was a slept on album. And so shout out to Metro Boomin for sampling this song, which is to me a classic, but you know, one of those ones that got slept on. Anyway, we'll come back. We'll talk about all of that stuff. Let's listen to the song Sexy Red, You My Everything, featuring Drake. Take a listen. Oops, my bad.
For you, baby.
I gotta stop doing that. My bad. One more time. I'm gonna just start the song over. Here we go.
I wrote this for you, baby. Baby, I love you. You my everything. I'm your main bitch. Fuck away and rain. We both in fast cars and we switching lanes. When I'm away from you, you always on my brain. Nigga, we go together. Tell them hoes we go together. It's time. Nigga, we go together. Tell them hoes we go together. Nigga, we go together. Tell them hoes we go together. Nigga, we go together. Tell them hoes we go together. People take me, let them pistols bang. If you fuck with me, go tattoo my name. I like to spoil him, and he do the same. I think we soulmates, you my twin flame. Tell them hoes that she did, I don't play about you. He got my head fucked up, and he hella cute. It turn me on when he pull up on me in that coupe. They be asking what is we, I'm like my whoopie whoop. He be telling me he love me, and I love him too. I only knew him for a week, but I swear this my boo. I might let the niggas trap me, bitch, my summer through. But I don't even give a fuck, do anything for you. Baby, I love you, you my everything. I'm your main bitch, fuck away they ring. We both in fast cars, and we switching lanes. When I'm away from you, you always on my brain. Nigga, we go together, tell them hoes we go together. It's time. Nigga, we go together, tell them hoes we go together. Nigga, we go together, tell them hoes we go together. Nigga, we go together, tell them hoes we go together.
Give me the pussy, I'm bullying shit. Hit from the back and I'm pulling your shit. Ice, I'm smoking the city, I wanted to see it, but baby, I couldn't just dip. You know the time when we on, my niggas start lurking and tying their hoodies and shit. Soon as this shit get resolved, I'll turn the librarian for you, I'm booking that shit. Let's do it. Regular, I love you, let's do it. Showed enough love to the city, I promise, so let's get the fuck out St. Louis. Maybe we go to St. Lucia. I've been there, so I'll introduce you. Or maybe you go to St. Martin with me if these niggas take break and quit starting with me. Maybe we go to St. Kitts if you and your BD is calling it spits. And maybe we call it an accident. You slip, you trip, you fall on my dick. Why you love me still a mystery. Me and the surgeon got history. I changed a lot of girls' lives for real. They need a new body, they hitting me, hating me. BBL Drizzy, they want a new body, they asked me for it. The last one, John, he did it for free because I sent over so many past ones for him, but red. Don't even worry about all of that shit. Just keep it natural for him, I swear. I got a passion for you, I swear. I got attraction for you, I swear. Yeah, you think I'm a bachelor girl, but I swear. You ain't get your masters, but I still breaking your back in the master bedroom, I swear. You sent a pic in them shorts, and I had to sing your caption like I was there. You the hood bitch, my dream, sexy girl. You just asked for me, and I'm there.
Baby, I love you, you my everything. I'm your main bitch, fuck away they ring. We both in fast cars, and we switching lanes. When I'm away from you, you always on my brain. Nigga, we go together, tell them hoes we go together. It's time. Nigga, we go together, tell them hoes we go together. Nigga, we go together, tell them hoes we go together. Nigga, we go together, tell them hoes we go together.
So that was You My Everything. And as you heard the beat switch to the BBL Drizzy beat that Metro Boomin made, and Drake was rhyming over that on the back half of his feature, which got a lot of attention on social media, obviously. And again, that was Drake's way of trying to be clever, like, hey, okay, I'm gonna take the power back here. You thought you was doing something, but I'm gonna rhyme over this shit. But again, I didn't think he murdered the beat, right? I didn't think he killed it. There was the line in there, BBL Drizzy, if you need a body, or something to that effect. Come holler at him, essentially. So again, him trying to get in front of the narrative, like, okay, y'all talking about you need a body. I got you, right? Y'all trying to mock me. So at the end of the day, the only thing that I like about this song is the sample, not the sample from Metro Boomin, but the sample for the song You My Everything. the actual sample. They used the Jamie Foxx sample for Infatuation. So remember, I had a first album flops with Gems episode featuring Jamie Foxx's 1994 debut album, Peep This, that he had. And I played two songs for you in particular, Infatuation and If You Love Me. And that was from Infatuation. So that was Infatuation sampled and looped over and over again. And that was dope. I love that. I love the use of it. A lot of people don't know where that came from. So I love that aspect of it. But everything else was trash to me, at least. I can't speak for anybody else. I didn't love Drake's verse. I definitely didn't love Sexy Red's singing, nor her whole verse in the song. I could have gone without all of that stuff. You could have just played the instrumental of the Jamie Foxx sample and loop, and I would have been fine with that, right? But at the end of the day, the burning question for me is, when you hear this song, did you visualize two bad bitches? No bad bitches, or one bad bitch in Drake? First of all, when I saw the feature, I saw the song, and I thought about it to myself. I'm like, bro, you're hammering home Kendrick's point, right? Like, he told you what you're like. He said in Euphoria, I can predict your every angle. And he's done that ever since he put out that track, right? You put out Family Matters. He puts out, in a matter of minutes, 30 minutes or so, 45 minutes, he puts out Meet the Gramps, right? Like, you didn't even get a chance to celebrate what you thought was a victory before he sat completely on your track, right? Shit on it, all over it, with a track that was directly tied to your family. So it's like he was one step ahead of you. Then he put out another track that you couldn't touch, and Not Like Us, that pretty much killed any beef that was left. You were dead at that point. And then he talked about you being next to Sexy Red and seeing two bad bitches, and then here you are. The first time we hear from you since the beef, you're with Sexy Red. And all I could think of was, hey, we hearing from two bad bitches right now. So my question to you is, what did you hear when you heard this song, or when you heard that Drake was on this song? Did you think about that line? Did you think about that bar? Two bad bitches? Or did you just say, all right, let me see what Drake talking about? Oh, he rhymed over the BBL Drizzy beat? Let me see what that sound like. Or did you think of, oh my God, Kendrick strikes again, without saying anything else? Kendrick strikes again, because here we go with two bad bitches. Because that's what I thought about. I ain't even gonna front. I'm not even gonna hold you. I thought about, oh shit, there's two bad bitches he talking about right here. This is the two bad bitches. Again, I don't want Sexy Red to catch strays in all of this, so I'm trying to keep it clean. But I know Joe Budden, and I don't really partake in Joe Budden's podcast anymore since he broke from Rory and Mal. I haven't really watched, and not really. I haven't watched at all. I haven't watched not a single episode, but I did see Joe Budden's take on Sexy Red and Drake's involvement with Sexy Red on social media, and that's been circulating for months now, and it kind of resurfaced again. And obviously with this track coming out, Joe Budden had something to say, and I'm starting to believe that Joe's on to something, because how many times have we seen Drake posting with Sexy Red? How many times have we seen Drake bringing Sexy Red up? Here he is, adding, to value to her album. Like, is he being paid? Like, what has Sexy Red done to warrant Drake being this involved with her every move, right? I mean, anytime Drake posts on social media, it's a big deal. And a lot of times we're seeing him and he's hugged up with her. They're in a picture together. And that boosts her value. That raises her stock, right? Being attached to Drake does help you, even though right now he's down a bit. Doesn't matter. He's still Drake at the end of the day. His involvement with her helps her brand. I can't help but think that maybe Joe Budden's on to something. Maybe Joe Budden is on to something about, Sexy Red and Drake being paid to help push her and to give her a boost. I don't know. But all I could think of was, damn, Kendrick strikes again, because hearing this verse, all I could think of is, man, I hear two bad bitches. And, and I'm asking you, what did you hear? Did you hear that? Did you think about that at all at any point when he was rhyming, when he was spitting his verse, when he was dropping this feature? At any point, did you hear Kendrick saying, "You next is Sexy Red, and you see two bad bitches"? Did you at any point hear that in your head? Because I damn sure I couldn't hear anything he was saying without hearing that reverberating in my head. So that's my question to you. That's the $1 million question. That's the big question, is what did you hear? I literally heard two bad bitches, on this track. Courtesy of Kendrick Lamar. It's one of those things where I can't unhear it, right? And then Drake goes and validates it here, which makes me think that there's some sort of ulterior motive here at work, which is what Joe Budden has been kind of, pushing as his narrative. Like, yo, there's got to be some underlying, forces at work here, because there's no way. Like, if I'm Drake, the optics of this are all wrong, right? There's nothing that anybody could have told me in my camp or anybody around me could have said to me to make me want to go work with Sexy Red at this particular point. I got nothing against Sexy Red, but the block is hot right now. And after Kendrick said what he said in Euphoria, I definitely can't have my first, verse since the battle is over, has ended and concluded, and I got my ass kicked. The first verse that I put out into the atmosphere can't be on a Sexy Red track. Can't be. That from an aesthetics standpoint, that is horrific. Okay. All you're doing is lending more credence to the notion that your lane ain't here with the rappers. Your lane is over here with the females, right? That's your competition. Your competition ain't here with me. It ain't with J. Cole. It ain't with us as rappers. You over here competing with the bad bitches, with the females, with SZA and Sexy Red and Glorilla. That's your competition. You go over there in that lane, right? Somebody should have gotten in Drake's ear and said, "Nah, bro, I wouldn't do that right now." But again, that kind of speaks to what Joe Budden was saying, and that's maybe there's already been an agreement in place where Drake has been paid to make sure that Sexy Red is successful. Not that she couldn't do it on her own, but she came out of nowhere, bro. Like, you remember Cat Williams called her a plant, right? He called it on Club Shay Shay when he was going after everybody. That might have been something that a lot of you missed in that episode, because he said a lot of shit and he took aim at so many big names that Sexy Red, who is not a big name, or at least wasn't at that time, she was starting to really bubble, but she's not as big as some of the names he was mentioning, the Cedric the Entertainers and, all those guys in his field as comedians, and then Diddy and then TD Jakes. There were so many people that he named that would have drowned a name like Sexy Red, but he came at her ass too, and he said she was a plant. Called Kevin Hart a plant. And that's probably why you didn't remember that he called Sexy Red a plant. But he called her a plant. She came out of nowhere. And she did. And the fact that she was able to come out of nowhere, have the success that she's had, and now all of a sudden, everywhere you see Sexy Red, you see Drake. I mean, I understand why people feel the way that they feel, including Joe Budden. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. But in any event, the aim wasn't to talk your head off about this whole situation. It was just to make it, to bring awareness to it, to ask a question, to see how you felt, right? And I promise you, unless Drake does something extreme, okay, unless he does something like put out a diss track, I'm going to get back to business as usual and start talking about things that I want to talk about on this channel. And I had an episode all lined up for you, and you're going to get that episode. And so we're going to get back to business as usual here on MusicHead University. But a lot was happening as we head into summer, and I wanted to make sure we stayed up on current events before we get back to regularly scheduled programming. So I do want to make sure that we stay somewhat current on this channel as well. You know, I'm a big nostalgia guy. If you haven't already recognized that already, you haven't taken notice of that. I'm big on nostalgia. Music is really nostalgic for me. You know, there is an infinite shelf life on music, and I talk about it all the time. And the beauty of music, one of the things I love the most about music is what it does, right? Where it can take you. You hear a song and it can take you all the way back to the first time you heard it, or it can take you back to a specific time and place in your life. And it can bring back great memories. It can bring back not so great memories. I mean, this is all that happens when music gets involved, right? So anyway, I'm gonna get a couple comments while we're here, and then we'll get out of here. Swaggy P writes, that verse was cool from Drake, but the song was awful. And I think that kind of, I guess that's part of what helped shape my opinion of Drake's verse, even though I just didn't think it was a particularly strong verse by Drake, to be honest with you. But because you can separate his verse from the entire track. It's hard to do that, though, right? It's hard to separate verse from track, but you can. You can extract that track and say, or a verse and say, oh, nah, he killed that shit, right? He murdered that beat, but he didn't, you know? He says, I also think this just reinforced what Kendrick said about Drake, thinking he sees two bitches. So you did think about that. So, okay, there we go. We do have somebody that thought about it the same way that I did. Because the only thing I could think of when I heard about him, before I even heard Drake's verse, the first thing when somebody was like, yo, Drake is on Sexy Red's track and giving her a feature on You My Everything, and he's rhyming over the BBL Drizzy beat that Metro Boomin made to diss him. And I'm like, wait. He's on Sexy Red's track? Before I even heard anything that he spit, I was like, bro, you feeding into the two bad bitches narrative. What are we doing right now? Nobody told him this was a bad idea. Nobody got in his ear and said, hey, no, don't do that right now. And I mean, I get it. You know, if somebody's paying you to do a job, you got to do your job, right? But damn, the optics and the aesthetics of this, all off. Does not look good for the sixth god right now. This is not a good look. I would not have done this right now. But I mean, if Sexy Red has a song that she wants you to get on and they want you to get on that song for her, and she's ready to put her project out, what are you going to say? Nah, right now is not a good time for me. So are they going to push back the whole project because you don't want to, you know, put your verse up there, or are you going to just spit your verse and let it ride? I just think it was poor timing on the part of Drake, and I would have had to pass on this one. You'd have had to come back around and get me the next time, because right now is not a good time. Not after the two sexy bitches line from bar from Drake, from Kendrick. It's just not a good time. So Swaggy P, you were thinking the same way I was thinking, right? Shay Robinson says dumpster juice. Yeah, I mean, and it's a shame too because the actual beat that they used for this song, the sample was outstanding. You know, I told you already. I did an episode earlier on this channel. If you hadn't checked it out, please do. It's a great episode on, you know, first album flops with gems, and it was Jamie Foxx's 1994 album Peep This. A lot of people don't know that Jamie Foxx had an album before what was it? Was it Intuition? What was the name of that album? With Can I Take You Home and all of them, like that shit was crazy. What was it? I don't think it was Intuition. Am I tripping? I can't. Maybe it was Intuition. I can't remember what the name of that album was. But that's a classic album with all those singles that he had that was just killing it at that time. What my favorite song obviously was "Can I Take You Home," but a lot of people think that's his first album. It's not. You got to go back to 1994 and peep this when he was on In Living Color, and people thought he was a comedian and an actor. And what are you doing singing? And that shit was fire to me. Like you go back and you listen to that, you go, damn, Jamie got some talent. They just couldn't see it, right? Because a lot of times they put you in a box. I talked about that on that episode. But one of the songs I played for you on that particular episode was Infatuation. That's the sample that they used for that particular song, You My Everything. They used Infatuation as a sample and they looped it and it was dope. But everything else was not dope. So, yeah, I can see why you said it was dumpster juice. I'm not mad at you for that. Swaggy P says, I don't know what note Sexy Red was trying to reach or hit, but she didn't get there. Not even close. I don't even know. You know, sometimes artists have fun at their own expense, knowing that they can't sing, but trying to sing anyway. And, you know, as consumers of the music, we cut them a break because we know what they're trying to do. Like, we know what they're angling at. Like, we know you can't sing. You know you can't sing, but that's the point of it is I'm going to go ahead, knowing I can't hold a tune, I'm going to go ahead and still, you know, try to blow for y'all, right? That, I don't know if that's what she was aiming to do, but whatever she was looking to achieve, she missed badly. I mean, she missed the mark terribly. Clearly, I don't think she was even trying to attempt to hit any kind of note. She was just trying to like sing because I know I can't sing. Y'all know I can't sing, but I'm gonna sing anyway, and y'all gonna love it because I'm Sexy Red. Nah, you ain't built up enough equity for that shit. You don't get to sing on a track and sound absolutely horrible and expect us to be like, oh, yo, that shit's fire though, right? Nah, that ain't how we respond to you. Like, Jay-Z singing sounds horrible, but he's Jay-Z, so we let it slide because it's Jay-Z, right? He's built up enough equity for us to be like, yo, Jay-Z funny as hell, man. You hear him over there trying to sing? That shit sound terrible, but you cut him a break because it's Jay-Z. He's earned the right to sing on a track and sound awful, and you let it slide. Sexy Red has not earned enough, you know, points. She has not built up enough equity to sing on a track, sound absolutely horrid, and expect us to be like, yo, that shit fire. No. I don't know what she was looking to achieve, but whatever it was, she failed miserably. Miserably. I must say. Eddie Clayton says, I definitely remember that episode. I'm glad that you remember that episode because that was one of my favorite episodes. Anytime I can try to bring some sort of awareness to a project or maybe drop a gem on your melon that you weren't aware of before, I always take joy and pride in doing that. And a lot of people miss that Jamie Foxx album, right, when it first came out. So I wanted to be the one to try to tell you, hey, look, man, I don't know if you was on this, but hey, check this out. So, and I enjoyed that album and that episode thoroughly. So I'm glad you remember that. That means you was rocking with me, either from, you know, almost the jump, because that was a episode that I put out a long time ago, or you went back in the archives to check it out. Either way, I appreciate you. Good looking out, Eddie. Um, Don Harden writes, definitely it was trash. Cringe, sexy off key and saying no nothing loud. Yeah, pretty much. It was absolutely terrible. The entire track, outside of the sample, like I said, was you could have really just I could have just listened to the instrumental and been fine. It would have been better than the actual track itself. If you'd have just gave me the instrumental, I'd have been fine instead of what you ultimately gave me. Um, it was it left a lot to be desired. I'll say that. And again, I don't want to kill Sexy Red. It is what it is. You know, she is who she is. I got nothing else. A wise woman once told me, if you got nothing good to say, don't say nothing at all. You don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. So I'll just keep my mouth shut and keep it pushing, Don. Sexy Red was definitely off key, loud. She wasn't saying nothing. She said the same thing over 50 million times in the song. It was, again, if you're a Sexy Red fan, you're gonna rock with it. If you're not, you're gonna be like, yo, this is garbage. And that's kind of where I am. But I digress. Anyway, I ain't here to talk y'all head off. Leave it down in the comment section. When you first heard about this track, before you even heard Drake's verse, just hearing the fact that he had a feature on a Sexy Red track, the first time we've heard from him since the Kendrick beef, what did you say in your mind? What did you think when you heard that Drake was on a Sexy Red song, giving a feature, rapping over the BBL Drizzy beat? What did you think in your mind? I can tell you without even thinking about the BBL aspect, the Metro Boomin aspect, which is what most people were kind of fixated on. To hell with that shit. Okay. Most people went, to that portion of this conversation. They went to that angle, right? I went straight to Kendrick Lamar's verse. I went straight to K-Dot's bar, rather, on Euphoria, where he said, when you next to Sexy Red, we see two bad bitches. And I thought about that when I heard that Drake was on her track. And I said, why would you even subject yourself to that? But again, in Drake's mind, he's probably thinking, I'm gonna show all of them, right? All of the BBL Drake or Drizzy stands out there, all the people that think that I got all this body work done, yada yada. I'm gonna get at them. This is Drake, again, biting off more than he can chew. I feel like trying to get at multiple adversaries, if you will, all at once, instead of just focusing in on the task at hand or focusing in on one person. He wants to try to spread his smoke in 3 or 4 different directions. And I never think that that's a good idea. When you spread yourself thin, instead of being concentrated in one area, you spread yourself thin and you dilute your product. This is the end result, if you ask me. Same thing with the battle against Kendrick. When you keep this narrative of 20v1, instead of focusing your energy and concentrating your energy and your focus on that one individual that's absolutely out to murder you, you want to dilute yourself and spread yourself thin, trying to attack, Rick Ross, Metro Boomin, The Weeknd, and Pharrell, and take shots at all these different people. Well, while you're doing all of that, Kendrick Lamar is single-handedly, systematically taking you apart. So I think this is another example of that. Rapping over the BBL Drizzy beat was intentional. That was intentionality by Drake. Probably, doing this first, verse since the beef with Sexy Red was probably intentional. As okay, so you think 2 bad bitches, you see 2 bad bitches. Okay, well, I'm gonna show you. I'm about to jump on this track. Like, I think he was doing that shit again, and I think it backfired again. But either way, he got people talking. This is what Drake does. He moves the needle, whether you like it or not. Whether you think he's a clown, whether you think he's this or he's that, he moves the needle, and he did it again. We're talking about him, right? Mission accomplished. So that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on this installment of MusicHead University Live. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys next time. I got another episode for you guys coming down the pipeline, so stay tuned for that in the very near future. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. I look forward to getting up with you guys on a live stream here in the near future. Until then, class is always in session. You guys take care. Have a good one.